This podcast is part of the Shareable Podcast Network. Learn more at shareable.fm. This is a Shareable mini episode where I ask the guest 10 important, big questions, and they have to answer them as fast as they possibly can. I call it Think Fast. Welcome back to Think Fast. Today, my guest is Bill Coletti, and I'm going to ask him 10 questions, rapid fire style, and he has to answer them as quickly as he can. So, Bill, the rules of this are, it's called Think Fast. So I want you to think as fast as you can and say the answer before you've even finished the thought. You can take as much time as you want with the answer, but I want your sort of like first level thinking reaction answer to the questions that I'm giving you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is one book that everyone that's listening right now should go read next?
The Bible. I just think the Bible's foundational. You don't have to be religious. There's great stories of care, human compassion, tragedy. So I just think it's a simplistic, wonderful way. If it shapes your spiritual journey, that's awesome. But there's great narrative in there.
You're the second person to answer that. And both of you gave a very similar answer that like whether or not you're religious or you're not, it'll be interesting. Okay. Good answer.
Yeah, great literature. Just great literature.
What's your favorite podcast? And you can't say shareable.
I like the Tim Ferriss stuff. Quite honestly, the thing we haven't gotten a chance to talk about, there's a guy named Andy Schnell, and he has 59 North podcasting, and it is a sailing podcast. And he also talks about his name of his podcast is How I Think About Sailing. And he just does, Andy's become a friend and his crew is a buddy of mine. And the way he thinks about sailing is really in line with the way I think about sailing and adventuring. And so 59 North, I think it's called the Quarterdeck Podcast, and then How I Think About Sailing.
Cool.
Yeah. Pretty niche.
That is very niche. That might be the most niche answer someone's given. What is a negative experience that happened to you in your life that you are most happy that it happened to you?
The precedence to my divorce. There's some choices that my partner made that made it really difficult to remain married. And that forced me to go on a journey of discovery, of entrepreneurism, and to find my amazing partner, Debbie, who has been my wife for about a year and 4 months now. So it's the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to me. So amazingly bookended.
Awesome, man. I have similar kind of experience to you.
Yeah.
What is a lesson that you wish that you had learned earlier in life?
Just do it. I wish I'm a 7-year entrepreneur. I wish I'd done it a long time ago. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What is the most important skill of the future?
Storytelling, the ability to communicate clearly, the ability to use technology and not let technology use you. But I really, those are two, but I really believe that I worry about story. I worry about people's ability to be engaging and interesting, and that 140 characters or whatever Twitter is now, that's not a story. That's not the future. I hope people can still share rich, personal, insightful perspective that's not about getting clicks, but it's about changing minds.
Love it. What industry or career path do you think has the most promising future or potential?
Well, I don't understand it, but from what everybody tells me, it's coding and artificial intelligence are two. So I guess if I read the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, that's what they tell me. It's coding and artificial intelligence. I think teaching and skill sharing in a way that is not beating people over the head with rote knowledge, but that lets people go on a journey of self-discovery, but guided with a mentor or kind of guru concept. I think people that can really figure that out, make it smart. I think teaching, and then maybe link that with coding and artificial intelligence, which I have no idea how to do that, but that might be the trifecta of teaching, coding, and AI.
Those are good ones. And I think back to our earlier conversations, frameworks are really helpful there when teaching, because
Absolutely.
It's giving sort of plot points, but not necessarily filling in the entire journey. So
absolutely. I give people a map. And I think that's super, super valuable.
Yeah. Okay. What's one thing that everybody listening to this episode should go and do today? They have to be able to do it in completion today, or at the very least start something today, make significant impact on it.
Fast. I started a fasting practice, and both not eating, skipping breakfast and eating my first meal of the day, but I try to fast once a month for 3 days. You can start it right now. Just don't eat, drink a lot of water. I think I love what it's done. I feel better. My gut feels better. It doesn't need to be woo woo. You don't need to be weird about it. Just don't eat, drink a lot of water, and take some vitamins. And you'd be surprised what you can pull off.
Interesting. Okay. Good answer. All right. If you could have any one superpower, what would it be?
Rewind the clock. If I could rewind the clock. So there's that image, and I don't remember which Superman movie it's in,
He
flies around backwards to go catch Lois Lane before the avalanche or whatever the case may be. It would just be fun to be omnipresent and be able to know what's going to happen in advance. Hope I would do it and use it for good, or just simply observe. But yeah, sort of rewind a little bit.
That's a good one. I love asking that question because you learn so much about people by their answer to that question.
Yeah.
If there was a drug that you could take or a vaccine that would give you an 80% chance of developing a superpower, random pick, it could be anything, like a really awesome one, full Superman stack, or something like really silly, like, I don't know, being able to boil water by touching it. I don't know. And a 20% chance of developing an incurable terminal disease. No specified timeline of it. We're all going to go at some point. It could be something that lasts for 20 years. It could be something that kills you quick. Would you take the vaccine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it would be time. I don't think maybe you can help me with the vocabulary. I don't think it's not time travel, but if I want to go to Atlanta right now, I just want to go to Atlanta. So I guess it's teleportation. I guess I want to I still want it to be Wednesday when I go to Atlanta or go to Athens or wherever. But yeah, I would take that shot. 80-20 is pretty good odds when you think about the world. 80-20 is pretty solid.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Final question. You mentioned that you know a little bit enough to be able to talk about superheroes and comic book stuff at parties. So I don't know if you'll get the reference, but have you seen Avengers Endgame?
I believe so.
Okay. So I'll give you the setup just to refresh you. There's a thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in the comic books known as the Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones are 6 of them. And when they're assembled together in the Infinity Gauntlet, which is a glove, holds all 6 of these stones. Thanos put it on, snapped it, and erased half the life in the universe. And later, Tony Stark put it on, snapped his fingers, and undid Thanos's things, brought everyone back, but it cost him his life. So the Infinity Gauntlet gives you the ability to snap your fingers, and anything that your mind can conceive of will happen. But as a mortal human, non-Hulk-sized individual, you will likely lose your life in the process. So first question is, I give you the glove. Do you put it on and do you snap? And if so, part 2 is, what happens after you snap?
Yeah, I don't think I put it on. I want someone perhaps more worthy to put it on, that understands the implications. I'd love to be a trusted advisor to that person as they're considering that journey. But no, I don't need to be that person that does it. And one is, I'm certainly courageous and willing to take leaps, but I think calculated risks are smarter risks. And so, yeah, I'd probably want to be an advisor and supporter of that person, just because typically that's not me, but just because of the complexity and the deep implications, the way you just described it, the deep implications, I know enough to find somebody that I can go on that walk with.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like a wussy saying that.
No, it's fine.
But I think it's prudent.
The thing I can't figure out in this Think Fast question, how to work around, is I have to deal with the monkey paw question. I have to figure out how to work that in there, that, you know, there is no monkey paw situation. It's like, because what we're after here is what's worth trading your life for, basically. Right. And there's like, you know, you could say, somebody gave the example of like, get rid of all of the mosquitoes, right? Like just a very basic one, but then like biodiversity collapse because no mosquitoes, right? So if you eliminate the biodiversity collapse and you just say, okay, what's a thing worth trading your life for? And you say mosquitoes, then like, okay, I see your values. You hate mosquitoes. So I'm trying to figure out how to phrase that question in such a way where it gets to the because the whether or not you snap is more, are you willing to trade your life for something? Is there something that you believe in bigger than yourself versus, versus not? So I got to figure out the wording to that question, but your answer is absolutely valid in the context of there are a lot of complexities and like things that you can't possibly predict if you eliminate something or if you give everybody everything, like give everyone like, clean water, housing, and food, right? Like, okay, well, what are the possible implications of that? What could possibly happen? There's food waste and this and that and the other thing. So, okay.
And I'd love to be the asker of those questions to the snapper to think those things through.
That's okay. You are the snap advisor. You just got a new role.
I like it.
Well, this has been Think Fast. You've been Bill Coletti. I've been Jeff Gibbard. And this has been Shareable. Wait, don't leave. If you've never listened to my fancy outro, do it just once for me, please. Okay, if you enjoy Shareable and you find it valuable, there's a few ways that you can support the show. One, you can share it on social media, which I strongly encourage. I mean, it's literally the name of the show, Shareable. Two, you can review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're an Overcast user, as many of my listeners are, make sure to click that star button on the episodes that you like. The third way that you can support the show is by blogging about it or discussing it on your own podcast or even by making a YouTube video where you talk about one of the episodes. And then the final way that you can support the show is by supporting it directly on Patreon. You can find the link in the show notes. Now, before I let you go, I want to tell you about one other thing. You see, Shareable is just one of many projects that I'm working on at any given time. I've got another podcast called Rogue. I do a live streaming show every week called The Heroic Council. I've got a blog where I release a blog post twice a week. And if you're looking to keep up with all sorts of different content that can help you grow and become a superhero in life, I want you to check out jeffgibbard.me. That's where I list all of my current projects and projects that are coming up in the future, including my forthcoming book, The Lovable Leader. It would mean a lot to me if you could go and check out some of the other things I've worked on because I put just as much of my heart into those projects as I do into Shareable. Thank you so much for being a listener. Thank you for being a supporter, and I hope to see you here on the next episode of Shareable.